Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? All right, we seem to be on a roll. I love this. But I do want to touch bases on a couple things. Somebody sent me a video of Economic Ninja. So we're going to listen to part of what he's saying, because he does talk about revaluation or the new exchange rates of the Iraqi Dinar that I think is interesting. He does make some points that I want to touch on, so let's get into this. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it.
Hello everyone, Economic Ninja here. There are a couple of different problems with the Iraqi Dinar as an investment, and I want to talk about that. But I want to preface this as I own Iraqi Dinar. And I want to give a couple of ideas, logical ideas, not advice, not financial or investment advice, but the way I approach it. And we're going to talk about these problems because they are very serious, and it's going to lead a lot of people, it already has sort of, to financial ruin. And it's really sad because there is facts about the Iraqi Dinar, and then there are people that have made their living off of selling the dinar, and there are people that have made a living through social media promising something that has never came to pass, even though ironically it is coming to pass right now. So right now I'm looking at a screen of gurus that talk about the new valuation. Now I'm looking at all of these exchange rates, and remember, the Iraqi Dinar was turned over and changed at the turn of the century, and it has been suppressed down because of a valuation that, quite frankly, the U.S. government gave it.
No, the U.S. government contributed to the devaluation of the Iraqi Dinar, but that's not who made the decision. That was done by the Central Bank of Iraq.
And recently, the government has been doing some amazing things to break out of the Iraqi government from the grips of the United States government, like the Iraqi Central Bank announced last September that it will restrict all internal commercial transactions to the Iraqi dinar starting next year, which it did. And what it is doing is it is building its own need for dinars. It's building its own marketplace inside of the country. And they are already working with other countries to be settling oil shipments. That's working out right now. We've seen the Iraq Central Bank come out and say, we are revaluing the currency versus the US dollar. And they made a bold step. And this is an amazingly bold step to go out and go, hey, we are going to be worth more than what the U.S. government says. Now, does that show up in the marketplace, the exchange rates? No, it does not. But I can guarantee you what they're doing right now is they're setting the stage for the future price of oil that is going to be coming out of Iraq. And I do believe they're going to have even more steps where they say, okay, now it's worth this much, worth this much. Here's the problem. A lot of people put a lot of money, everything they had. There are people that I knew that put tens of thousands of dollars in the dinar, and they kept believing and kept listening for the updates. There are people, and I invested in the dinar over, 14 years ago. I made a small investment and I set it aside. And then I kept living, I kept investing. I invested in things like cryptocurrency, gold and silver, in stocks and in real estate. And since then, all of those have gone up versus the Iraqi dinar. Yet there are people that are still frozen, sitting next to their computer, being told by people that God said, it is done, it has been revalued.
Who says it is done? Yeah, Felony Melanie, that's who it is. Oh, I talked to God and God told me it is done. It's just bullshit.
If you're a believer in Jesus Christ or God and you read the Bible, there's lots of things where God says, it is done. Well, it means it's done in the spirit, not in the natural. And it takes a little bit of time and a lot of faith to keep you going until you see it actually come out. And there are a lot of people that have invested in this and they're just stuck to it. This is what I would just throw out a suggestion. Live a little. Don't keep piling your money into one thing. You're supposed to have it spread in multiple baskets, actually around the world. It talks about that in the Bible. But then the sad thing is most people don't have a plan for what they're going to do once it does officially revalue and you can go and trade it in. They don't know about anything else, any other kind of investments. And a lot of people are going to get very confused because they don't know, they're not going to want to put them in dollars. They're not going to know how to put it in real estate.
Well, I agree with Economic Ninja there. People aren't going to know what to do. They're going to get their money. It's going to be like a lotto winners. If it happens the way everybody's crossing their fingers for, and you become rich, the money is not for you. I've said this a million times. Sure, pay your debt, take care of you and your family, but if you're just out there screwing the money off, that's not the purpose of it. Purpose is to reinvest in the humanity. And I really truly believe that if you don't do that, and you just screw your money off just because, it isn't going to take longer for you to go through all your money, and you're back at square one. That's your punishment. You're supposed to do good by it. That's just my opinion. Anyways, in the news, it says the Prime Minister's advisor, Baghdad summit took place regularly, and Iraq regained its leading role. Remember, we've been talking about this. This is an important place for Iraq. They once were the lead over in the Middle East, and it looks like they're regaining their spot. So the Prime Minister's advisor confirmed on Saturday that Baghdad summit took place smoothly and regularly, and Iraq regained its leading role. Aladdin said in a statement reported by the official news agency and seen by the Economy News that Baghdad summit gains importance from its holding in Iraq, peace and stability, and the importance of regional and Arab developments. This is awesome. Peace in the Middle East. He added that the summit was held in Baghdad in light of the state of security stability. No curfew or street closures were imposed, and the regulatory matters passed smoothly and regularly. Aladdin explained, as for the subject of content, the content is great with the political, security, and economic incentives carried by the summit. And Iraq, the president of the summit, has a year ahead of it to implement these initiatives, stressing that they are working to unify the ranks and positions on important issues. He pointed out that Iraq has regained its leading role, and its position has become very important, and everyone sees, hears, and awaits for what Iraq's position will be on any issue raised before launching other positions, and this is evidence of Iraq's role and importance in the region. There are big things coming for Iraq and Iraqi people, all tied into the economy, and I'm looking forward to seeing Iraq grow. That's why it's important for you to at least consider buying into the Iraqi stock exchange. All right, let's get back to your questions under this video here. It says confidence is often mistaken for ignorance. That's the truth. Definition of cognitive dissonance. Yeah, there are a lot of people inside the Iraqi Dinar community that suffer from this, without a doubt. Thank goodness we have Pimpy. I appreciate the kind words. Hey Pimpy, thank you for all you're doing and helping us make sense out of all the distractions. Because of you, I started buying gold, silver, crypto, dinar, dong. Never more than I could afford to lose. Best advice ever. Either way, I win at some point. And you should be winning now, especially when it comes to precious metals and cryptos. They're doing a pretty good job. So congrats. I appreciate the kind words. So 25,000 IQD equals 25 IQD equals $19 USD unless rates change. Yeah, that's exactly correct. I just gave the examples using the current exchange rate. He did not say we own 35 billion dinars. He said we own 35 billion American dollars worth of dinars. Well, I don't think he said we own. He said we hold. I might be wrong on that. But anyways, I heard that with my own two ears. Is there any written proof? I have no idea. It does not matter. I heard it with my own two ears. Yeah, I think you're right. He did. He didn't say that. I think he said we had $35,000 worth of dinars. Well, let's just go ahead and find out for sure.
I said we built one of the world's most expensive airport facilities anywhere in the world. I mean, I wish we had it in New York. I wish we had it in Washington. We built runways that are 15,000 feet long. At LaGuardia, they're 7,000 feet long. In fact, I think they're 20,000 feet long over there, and deep, thick concrete and steel. Nobody ever built runways like this. Okay, it was way overbuilt, but that's okay. But we have billions of dollars into that. I said, if we leave, you got to pay us. If we leave, you have to pay us for embassies. You have to pay us for the money we put in.
How are you going to collect?
Well, we have a lot of their money right now. We have a lot of their money. We have $35 billion of their money right now sitting in an account. And I think they'll agree to pay. Otherwise, we'll stay there.
So there you have it. He didn't say that we own $35 billion in dinars. He said we have their money. And what he's talking about is the oil account. See, when Iraq gets paid for oil sales, they do it in American dollars. We keep it in an account for them. And then whatever their budget is, we let them take that money out to cover their budget. But they're not allowed to manage their own oil funds. Actually, I think they finally turned that over to Iraq, but he didn't say that we own $35 billion worth of dinars. He didn't even say we are invested in the Iraqi dinar. What he's saying is that we are holding the 35 billion in dinar. This video is the whole reason I like to keep watching. I'm a practical person and invested in some dinar. I hope that it RVs and I make some money. I really hate all the hype from other sources. I want practical information to be told where I can exchange, simply break down how it may or may not be a good investment, what misunderstandings or lies are being spread, etc. Thank you. You're very welcome. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate everybody tuning in. At this point, if you can get my original investment back, I'd be happy. I think there's going to be some people who got into it early enough that they're going to make, they're going to make some money off of this. Look, again, you guys, there's no saying for sure they're going to take the zeros off. I mean, just common sense tells you that they are, but they might surprise us. So all we got to do is cross our fingers. Let's hope they keep the zeros on and then give us a new rate. Looks like I will lose 30% of what I invested in plus the amount lost where I could have put the money to work elsewhere. That's exactly what Economic Ninja was talking about. That's why I talk about gold and silver. I'm not a huge fan of cryptocurrencies, but I understand people investing in it. To me, all cryptos are fiat dollars. There's nothing backing it, despite all the lies about XRP and XLM and all those other things being backed by precious metals. They're not. That's a lie. Pimpy, what's up? Good to hear from you. Thanks for the news. You are very welcome, Kevin. Thanks for chiming in. Look, you like me so much you said it twice. You idiot. Nice work again, Pimpy. Hey, big guy, I heard you having problems with a certain person. You should reach out to me if you can. I know who you're talking about. I know who he is. I don't think they will delete the zeros. They will leave currency as it is. I do believe the currency will revalue, but it won't be over $1. We all are hoping that they leave the zeros on there. Again, you guys, I have 5 million Iraqi dinars. You think I want them to delete the zeros? No, I don't. I want them to leave the zeros on there and give it a huge exchange rate. Like you said, I'd be happy if it went dollar for dollar. Look, I'd be happy if they did it 25 cents. I really would. I still make out like a champ. I do very well. I'm just saying there are things out there that people are not telling you that you should at least be aware of. Pimpy, it's been a while since you did an update on Vietnam. I know. I just was thinking about that the other day. I'll be doing that very soon. Pimpy, I don't know why I still laugh at that. I love that. How do we sell our dinars to someone else? I've been thinking about this lately. I don't have millions, but I have some enough. Again, I told people, it's for me, unless there's a person that lives in your area and you want to sell to them, that's one thing. People use Facebook to sell it. I'm not a big fan of that just because there's too much risk involved. Just look around wherever you're located at and see if there's a currency exchange center. And you'll be able to take it in. And it'll give you the current exchange rate. International airports will do currency exchanges. They have it there for people who are traveling. So look that way. I would definitely do it that way. Look for a currency exchange center. Just a question. How would Iraq compete with a 76-cent rate with the other countries in the Middle East? It's easy to compete with the other countries. If you're talking about this is their exchange rate, how do they compete? First of all, they would have the lowest labor costs. Their cost of goods would be much cheaper because it's such a low exchange rate. A perfect example of that is China and Vietnam. Their exchange rates are so extremely low, the cost of goods are cheap. That's why so many people buy stuff from China as well as Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, is because their exchange rates are really low. So that's how they would compete. They would be able to undersell everybody because they have such a low exchange rate. Now, importing goods, it's different. If they're importing goods from other countries, while obviously then their purchasing power is really low and they end up paying a lot of money for goods. I hope that answers your question. Hi, Pimpy. Any news on the Vietnam? I know you guys. I will do one. I will do one very soon, within the next day or two. Okay, for sure. Yeah, because he said it on their money, not necessarily dinar or dollars. He just said their money. Yeah, I just showed the video again. This way there's no misunderstanding. Thanks, Admiral, for chiming in. I appreciate you, Pimpy. I have been following you for years. I definitely don't pray to God for the IQD to bring me riches like some of these YouTubers doing, and suggest we also do. That is not what the Holy Bible has ever taught any of us to do. This is a however familiar scenario with me and my experience, and that was the basis of my comments I posted. Thank you for having those comments of mine on your segment. You're very welcome. It's a crapshoot. However way the Iraqi government decides to do this thing. With me, it's pennies of investment from me into the currency. And making positive returns is always a bonus. Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, Chris, here's the way people are going to look at this. If, let's say, the exchange rate doesn't work out the way they thought, they take the zeros off, and even if you make more money than you spent into it, that's always a plus. People are not going to look at it as a good thing. They're going to be disappointed. Why? Because they already spent the money in their head. They were told, and they believe they're going to get millions of dollars. Again, that's still possible, but most likely not. They're not going to be happy with making any gains. They'll just look at it as a negative thing, and they should look at it as a positive. Kuwait, I agree, was very different, but it still happened, and a lot of us did really, really, really well throughout the course of it. Whatever happens with the Iraqi Dinar will be an economic win for me. Now, will it be a huge win based off what they do? That's the question. Absolutely, Chris, we just need to watch the Iraqi government. We don't know what they're going to do. Do they leave the zeros on? Do they take the zeros off? The only reason why I'm saying you guys got to be careful, because they keep talking about they're studying the deletion of the zeros, which means their intentions are to remove the zeros. Now, whether they do that after they revalue and change the exchange rate or before they change the exchange rate is a big question. I appreciate you chiming in. Well said. Yes, indeed. You're doing a fantastic job. A bit off topic, but I wanted to ask you, I have a Safe wallet. And lots of people keep asking me about this Safe Pal wallet. I don't have anything with it. I see that you're putting your seed phrase in there. I wouldn't do that if that's your seed phrase because people could steal your monies. So I don't know anything about it. I remember when Trump stated that the United States held, what was that, Pimpy? 2019, 2020? We also trailed off on his speech regarding RVs. Yep, that's how long I've been listening to you. Boy, there were changes back then trying to get people to stop listening to gurus. No, I just played the video. I mean, I'm aware of what he said. That's why I was explaining to people. A lot of people misunderstood what it was that Trump was talking about. What Trump was saying is, look, these people are going to agree to pay this, or we are already holding billions of dollars worth of their dinar. We just keep it, is what he was trying to say. But he didn't say we were invested in it. He didn't say the United States spent billions of dollars to get the dinar. He's saying we're holding their money. But that's always been the thing since Iraq first got into trouble. We controlled the money that they made from oil sales. Thanks for chiming in. Ty says 428 views, 1,562. Man, you fell off, dude. Been a while. I checked to see if you're still posting videos. I am. I think you checked a little too soon. So yeah, my other channel, as you guys are aware, it was gone. It was much bigger. 79,000 people in it. So these videos would shoot up real quick. But slowly but surely, I get back up there. I just got to get in the habit of doing videos regularly. It's hard not to get burnt out on these things, is what it is. But I appreciate you chiming in. So there you have it, you guys. That's the latest and the greatest. And I played just a little clip from Economic Ninja because I agree with him. You want to be diverse in your investment if you can. I still hear great stories from people when it comes to the silver. Monica and her kids are doing very well. The kid's been at it now for a couple years, and it doesn't seem like they're going to stop at all. They're going hardcore. The oldest child has a part-time job, and he's been spending, because he doesn't have to pay no rent or anything, so he's been spending his money on adding to the silver. But they all do what they can to contribute to their little holdings, and it's exciting to hear. And also, of course, Linda, with the lady with the part-time job, she still has a part-time job. I don't know if you remember her. This is how the rich get rich. And I said, I did a video called No Excuses. One of my suggestions is maybe pick up a part-time job. I know you have a full-time job and you're exhausted, but maybe you pick up a part-time job and you use that check to just buy nothing but precious metals. And she's been doing that now for a couple of years. And so she's accumulated a pretty large amount of silver herself. So I'm excited for both of them. They listen to what I'm saying. They jumped right in it. And now look at them. They got a ton of ounces of silver. And I'm very happy for them. Anyways, that's it for now. I look forward to your comments. I'll get back at you later. I'm out.